Okay, so we're going to go over creating a simple design in Illustrator that can be laser cut. So for example, for creating a mold for Plastiki Rafiki that can be injection molded. Yes, so first thing you're going to do is you're going to be in Illustrator and you're going to say File, New. Once you get this screen, it doesn't really matter what size document you have, but what's important is that your units over here are in millimeters, and then you just hit Create. What that's going to give you is a blank document. It's going to look something like this, depending what workspace arrangement you have. Once you have your document, the next thing to do is to make sure your rulers are visible. So what you want to go to is go to View, and then go to Rulers, and Show Rulers. And that's going to bring up the rulers on the top, which are now all in millimeters. The next thing you want to do is to create a mold, you might want to have the size of the mold. So the size of the mold that you're going to press. So if I go click on my rectangle tool here, and I just double click on the artboard, I'll see it gives me an option to type in the amount of units. Our basic mold is 102 millimeters by 102 millimeters, and that brings up a square that's now that dimensions, or rather those dimensions. And the same thing, I could then double click and put a different size in. It'll give me a different square. Or I can then, using this selection tool, I can click on the edges and resize my square, and you'll see that as I resize it on the side here, you have a little panel that shows you the size of the square as you're resizing it. I'm going to undo scale, so that I'm back to that original 102. So this is now my outside of my mold. Now the inside is where you put your design of what you want to create. Let's just say you had a image that you found online that you liked a lot, or you created a drawing. I'm going to import something for now. So File, Place, that's to bring your image in here. Let me see what I have here. It's an elephant, a graphic I have, and you'll notice that it's quite helpful if your graphic is something like a silhouette where it's just one color, because that's going to, you'll see shortly how that helps you out. So what I'm going to do now, I have my graphic here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first vectorize it, and the way I do that is I go Object, Image Trace, Make and Expand. So what that does, this is now all a vector graphics. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the white, going to delete the white. I also want to get rid of this thing over here. I don't need that anymore. So now I just have my simple elephant over here, graphic of that. But what's it? I think there's some white below here. Yeah, let me delete that white. So now I just have my elephant over here. So if I were to do this, it would just engrave. So if I were to put this on the laser cutter, you just get a big, this would all be engraved, the black area. But what I want it to be cut out, because I want this to be, let's say, a keychain. So what I'll do is this is my fill color. I'm going to click on the outside, give it a stroke color. It could be black as well. Then go back here and then click on the none. So now I've gotten rid of the fill color, so I only have the stroke color. So now I have a nice outline of my graphic. So what's going to happen now is if I were to injection mold this, it's going to now fill this with plastic. If I wanted to have a design that goes on the elephant, let's say I wanted to say ISK or whatever, what I would do then is I would actually grab all my graphic. I would say I'd copy this, make another copy of it. I would then create my design. For the sake of simplicity, I'll just write ISK. Let's make it a bit bigger. Choose whatever font you want, whatever design you want to make it look good. And then what you're going to do is for this graphic, you're now going to first invert the text, because it's going to, in order for it to be injection molded, it needs to be inverted. So the way I do that is I go to Object, Transform, and Reflect. And what that does, it now reflects that text. So I can then just go, that's fine, vertical 90 degrees, say OK. And what that does is now reflect the text. And I'll put that on the elephant, so now it's reflected text. Or I could have just reflected the elephant with the text. That would have done the same thing. And then I'm going to get rid of that elephant. So now to create this mold, I have my original mold, which is going to be cut out. And I have my text, which is going to be on here, that is going to be embossed on this. But again, just to create a simple mold, all you have to worry about is this area over here, basically creating your square and whatever graphic you want cut out in that square to look like that.